You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing. Oh Lord, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 Hallelujah.
Thank you all. You may be seated. Thank you so much to everyone on the tech bridge. You rock. I want you to know that you are a gift, and I'm so glad you're here today. Love is the spirit of all souls, and I hope you feel that in every moment of today's service. And know that as we navigate our shared journey, we hope that you feel witnessed and honored wherever you are on that journey. Whether you're here for the first time or the thousandth, whomever you are, whomever you love, whatever your ability, gender, beliefs, political affiliation, or documentation status, you are welcome here, and you are never alone. I invite you now to please rise in body or spirit and greet your neighbor with your name and your pronouns. We'll return to worship with the music. All right. I love the energy this morning. Bienvenidos, mi gente. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. I love the energy this morning. I think we've found a secret, a good hymn search. And hymn sing is a good way to get us going. And for those of us who move on UU Standard Time, and sometimes they're a few minutes late, it gives everybody time to get here. So, boom! Happy things, happy things. I want to thank everyone who is joining us in the moment, in person, and for those of us joining us online. I'm the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin, your senior minister. My pronouns are she, her, or ella in Spanish, together with Nancy Olson, who's our acting director of faith formation, pronouns she, her, Gabe Barbieri, Gabe's running. Gabe, pronouns he, him. Jane Gosling, pronouns she, her. Jane is one of the co-chairs of the Welcoming Congregation team, and the Reverend Dorian Condre. Many of you know Dorian as our membership and communications coordinator. Their pronouns are they, them, or he, and I want you to know that the Reverend Dorian is also a Disciples of Christ minister and is gracing our pulpit today. So we're really excited to have you serving in that capacity today. Thank you. And we're your worship team on the chancel. If you're visiting with us this morning, I'm so glad that you're here. People of all ages are welcome in service, and we also have nursery care available, whatever option works best for you and your family. I invite everyone to complete a connection card if you're here. It's a great way for us to communicate. If there's something you want to share about the service, if you have a big idea, or if you have something that's on your heart, it's a great way to reach our pastoral care team. You can also email our pastoral care team at pastoralcare@allsoulsindy.org. Our Soul Matters theme this month is generosity. You can check in the know to get a packet, and you can engage with the materials at home or at All Souls in person and online. I have some announcements this morning, and the first is finishing something from last week. Now, those of you who were here last week may remember that I was in uniform in my capacity as a military chaplain, and I mentioned that we have these special things called challenge coins in the military, and if you get one of these, it's kind of a big deal. And I shared a little bit about the exemplary service record of Virginia DeForno. And Virginia DeForno, I would like to officially present you with your challenge coin. On behalf of the UUA, we thank you for your service. We appreciate it. I have some more good news. We have a new office administrator that's starting on December 1st. Her name is Mariah Arkins. She is actually a member at UUI and leads their social justice team. So we're going to have another UU in the house on the staff team. I'm pretty excited about that. Some of you had the pleasure of meeting some guests from Jewish Voice for Peace this morning. Malka and Robin were here. We have a partnership in place with Jewish Voice for Peace. They are going to be hosting Shabbat for All here beginning December 8th at 6:30 p.m. and every single month for the next year, where we will have a welcoming Shabbat space, an interfaith Shabbat space led by Jewish Voice for Peace as part of our hope for peace in the Middle East and for strengthening our relationships here in the U.S. So very excited to announce this partnership and to be able to share space in support of Jewish Voice for Peace's mission and ministry. Know that you are all welcome to attend and keep your eyes on In the Know. This is a big deal, and this is a way that we as Unitarian Universalists can use our building as a bridge. So, thank you. Good work. I'd also like to invite you to Staying Human, which is a vigil being held tonight by the Diverse Revolutionary Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries. You can log on to druumm.org to sign up for tonight's 6 p.m. vigil. As we continue our time together, let us acknowledge the land itself and those who have sustained it through the generations, for we are upon the unceded land of the Miamia, Kaskaskia, Shawnee, and Kickapoo people, who were pushed from their land and whose children have been stolen for generations. As we strive to be a community of justice, may we continue to find ways to make reparations. I gift you these words on wholeness by the Reverend Sharon Wiley. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you beautiful, just the way you are. Here you do not need to be something more or something less, no holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or the children or to anyone. You don't have to try and be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You don't need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way you are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each other and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Beautiful people, let us worship together.
And the welcoming congregation team to join us as we light the chalice. This ritual of our chalice, lighting our chalice, reminds us to continually renew our promise to put our love into action, to live out this community of love and justice that we aim to be. Please rise in body and spirit as we say these adapted chalice lighting words from James Villablake, the very same words we have spoken since 1903, and they are printed in the order of celebration. If you're online, please let us know in the chat where you're lighting your chalice from. We will say them in Spanish first. Amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio en su ley, vivir juntos en la paz, buscar la verdad en el amor y nos ayudarnos desde nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to help one another. This is our covenant. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. You may be seated.
This is what you want to say when we get to it. Can I? You're up, Jane. Yes, I am.
Good morning. My name is Jane Gosling. I'm a cisgender white female, and I use the pronouns she and her. As the sister, mother, niece, and cousin of members of the LGBTQ+ community, I am an ally of this community. I watched my gay brother die during the AIDS epidemic while homophobia and prejudices ruled the narrative around that epidemic. I felt fear when my oldest son came out, not because I didn't know he was gay or that I didn't support and love him, but because I knew there were people who might want to hurt him just because he was gay. I felt guilt as I enjoyed the freedom to marry whom I loved, not once, but twice, while my sister and others in the gay community did not have that right until 2015. After the height of the AIDS epidemic and before the right for same-sex couples to marry became law, All Souls back in 2007 chose to become one of the Unitarian Universalist Association's welcoming congregations to show solidarity with our LGBTQ+ brethren, to say this is a safe and welcoming place for this community. But like all social justice work, doing something in 2007 doesn't make it so in 2023. The UUA has asked all UU congregations that have become welcoming congregations in the past to go through a renewal process, to keep these practices and covenantal promises top of mind and active in our congregations. As the slate of hate continues to grow across the nation and here at home, we are needed now more than ever to advocate for LGBTQ and particularly trans rights. Therefore, we have formed a welcoming congregations team, many of whom you saw in the chancel just a minute ago, to work on the process set forth by the UUA to renew our commitment to becoming a welcoming congregation. We have just started meeting, and I invite anyone who is interested in this work to reach out to me or Rev Katie if you'd like to be also involved. Thank you. And now please rise in body or in spirit for hymn number 131 in the gray hymnal. Love will
Ada. You need your microphone. Good morning. I'd like to say this again because it's good practice. My name is Nancy, and my pronouns are she and her. And she and her are pronouns that fit for me and my experience of myself. And I have other identities. I have white, spouse, mother, grandmother, everyone hears about that identity, friend, gardener, colleague, religious educator. But she, her are the words that can stand in for my name. You know, for example, at a meeting, someone can say, oh, Nancy will get the hot dogs because she has the church credit card. Who I am is represented in that meeting. So pronouns are how we identify ourselves apart from our names. And Ada, I have asked to share some of her thoughts on why pronouns are important. Go for it.
Hello, I'm the gender unicorn, here to say why pronouns are important. Pronouns have many different meanings to many different people. To some, pronouns are a way to express themselves. To others, pronouns are taking a break from the formality of a name. And for some, pronouns are just an aspect of the English language. Whatever your meaning of pronouns, just know they're important. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada. Ada, would you do one more thing for me? Would you get that piece of paper that's where I was sitting? And would you mind bringing that up and holding it for me? Thank you, Ada. So actually, I really don't need to say anything else, but I do have a few things I want to share. You know, over the years, we have seen the use of these additional pronouns, and they reflect this beautiful range and diversity of human experience. And here are some. And I wanted them to be held up here so that you could see them. We have sie and hier. We have sie and zir. We have a and em. We have sie and them, they and them, and she and her and he and him. These are some of the different, these by no means are reflective of all the pronouns today, but they are some. And I mean, wow, look at this. These are beautiful, beautiful pronouns to reflect the beautiful, wonderful experience that humans have. And so using new pronouns, though, does take some focus and effort. And some of us are older, and some of us, our brains are very habituated. And so even if I'm aware, even if I've been learning things, you know, I have a default that kicks in. And especially if I'm tired, or if there's, you know, not a lot going on in a meeting, or there's a conversation, or I'm not focusing, you know, I'll go back to my little default way down here at the end. But that said, I just want to lift up a few tips for us. First of all, it cannot be overstated that by using a person's correct pronouns, we show respect for their identity. We see and affirm and show our acceptance of them. Paying attention to pronouns interrupts the assumptions we make about people. Not everybody's comfortable sharing their pronouns, and that's okay, And sometimes people share different pronouns in different settings. That's important to know, too. We can ask people respectfully, what pronouns do you prefer me to use? Or what are your pronouns? Or are there pronouns you want me to use in this situation? We can be respectful, and we can also say nothing and share ours as an example, modeling that. So we try not to assume a pronoun, and, you know, if you make a mistake, apologize and move on. Now, practice, 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 practice. Practice before you see someone. Practice saying different pronouns. Go online. I have this tool for practicing pronouns that I'm going to put in the ITK next week. It's a great little tool. It has all these different ways to practice saying them. And just also practice using gender-neutral language. Instead of boys, say children. Instead of women, say people. I mean, there are just all many different ways to use non-gender specific language. So here's the main takeaway for me, and I think Ada agrees with me on this thing. Every time we share our pronouns, every time we use another's pronouns correctly, or we try to use them correctly and fail, and we try again. Every time we practice saying those pronouns, every time we learn more about trans and non-binary experience, every time we shift the needle in the world from confusion and misunderstanding and hate to a safer, more expansive, more accepting, inclusive world. And when we shift that needle just a bit, we honor that full range of human experience, and we bring more love to the world. And that's all we need to do, is try what we can. So please rise in body and spirit and sing 10-5-7. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. And I hope you all were able to grab your pronoun stickers on the way in. Austin, huge thank you to Austin, a member of the Welcoming Congregation team, who found those awesome pronoun stickers where you can write in your pronouns too. And the ushers were handing them out on the way in, and we have them in various places in the building. Let me know if you need a pronoun sticker. Oh, breathe with me, beloveds. Let us make space in our hearts to hold our own personal joys and sorrows, as well as those of this community and the larger world. As we take this time to breathe, let us acknowledge and send some extra love to Bruce and Cece Russell Jane, who are truly on the front lines right now of doing some intense climate justice work. May we also, with the next inspiration of our breath, make room for Elizabeth Valencia, Laith, and Zach. They really need this community's love and support right now. They have more than 1,000 family members in Gaza. They are unsure of the welfare of their family. This is taking a terrible toll on them. They would appreciate you sending cards directly to them. They also would very much appreciate gift cards to like DoorDash or Grubhub. Cooking is very difficult. Meal preparation is difficult right now, and that kind of flexibility allows for them to also be able to put more money into the Arab and Muslim community by selecting Arab and Muslim run restaurants to nourish their bodies and spirits right now. And as we breathe into this moment, I invite you also to please hold my family. We are mourning the loss of my father-in-law, Bob Griffin, this week. And while we are supported in navigating what is a sudden, painful, challenging time, prayers are always appreciated. I invite you now, if you are mourning the loss of a loved one or the anniversary of a loss, to rise in body or spirit as we hold silence together, and we will come out of the silence first with a video and then a gift of song by the choir. Let us hold the silence together.
Piece that I wrote as part of a sort of a compositional challenge to myself in the earlier part of this year, where I wanted to take themes from the Soul Matters themes that some congregations use, my congregation uses, that I found popped up, the most often in my work as a church music director and amongst UU music in general. And one of those themes that came up was celebration. And so when posed with the task of writing a piece about celebration, I kind of sort of came to the thought of, there's all sorts of pieces for Easter or Christmas or any number of holidays or types of occasions. And I wanted to write something that was about just celebrating all of the wonderful, ordinary, everyday life things that can happen. I love a good big celebration. It's one of my favorite things. I think it's really important. But also at the same time, that's not the majority of our life. The majority of our life is just kind of moving about our day to day, and there's so many wonderful things in that space that can bring so much joy and purpose and meaning into our existence that I just kind of wanted to make something that celebrated that as well. So that's sort of the lyrical and thematic crux of the piece. Musically, it's an overlay of a few different styles. There's some sounds kind of that fit into the modern choral landscape, sounds like that you might hear that sort of might fit in an Eric Whitacre type of piece. Sounds more like this. That might fit in more of like a jazz piece or something maybe from the crooner era or something like that. But it's all then overlaid over just kind of a simple pop rock song. Right? To just have a good time, be upbeat, have some fun, and celebrate a lot of the things that can go overlooked that are worth celebrating. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks so much for inviting my music into your congregation.
It's not a festival or holy feast.
There's no occasion of renown.
And yet today we're gonna celebrate the simple glories that abound. The love child or a dear running one or a cloud to celebrate, forming a bond or growing beyond what we can see. I can barely believe
The gifts we receive.
See what an ordinary day can bring. Small joys of a heart that's free, moving with our spirits. We can't help but shout and sing as we say, celebrate today. In quiet worship or in loud acclaim, we come to mark this sacred time, when what might be ignored as commonplace
life can create.
See what an ordinary day can bring. Small joys of a heart that's free, moving with our spirits. We can't help but shout and sing as we say, celebrate today. Every today and each day on the way is a cause for us to celebrate. How can we stand to receive in our hearts the joys that await if we just integrate
What life can create.
See what an ordinary day can bring. Small joys of a heart that's free, moving with our spirits. We can't help but shout and sing as we say, celebrate today. Celebrate today.
Celebrate today. Celebrate today.
Celebrate today.
Thank you so much, choir. And this is a day to celebrate the beauty and the uniqueness of each individual. And this is also a day where we grieve those whose lives were taken because of fear and bigotry. According to the Human Rights Campaign, at least 26 transgender people were killed in the United States so far this year, with Black transgender women the most at risk for being harmed. And so we offer this blessing of grief, protection, and celebration written by the Reverend Barb Grieve. Blessed are the trailblazers who brought us this far and are still trailblazing, still celebrating.
Blessed are the drag queens and kings who remind us not to take life too seriously. Blessed are the gender benders, non-binary, gender fluid, and third gender folk, those who challenge us to reframe our gender paradigm.
Blessed are the young ones who present fearlessly from the start. Blessed are the parents who make space for freedom and love their children fiercely.
Blessed are the siblings and relatives who educate, support, and love us as we are. Blessed are the genderqueer youth who are struggling and persist.
Blessed are the 90-year-olds just coming out and those who've been out for decades. Blessed are those whose lives were cut too short. May their stories live through us.
Blessed are the survivors. May they keep on living. Blessed are the allies learning to be accomplices.
Blessed are those gathered here today, witnessing, learning, celebrating.
May we all commit to continue showing up, fighting for justice, celebrating all the genders in life. Amen and blessed be.
My name is Dorian. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him. I am your membership and communications coordinator. And not too long ago, one of you asked when you would get to know me. I know there are lots of things you would like to know and that I would like you to know. For instance, I'm a husband. I have a fur baby. I'm an ordained minister in the Disciples of Christ denomination. But the thing I want you to know the most for today is that I am transgender. I identify my gender as non-binary transmasculine. What that means for me is that I find myself in the midst of the binary understanding of gender. I do not identify or fit into one binary or the other. However, I do find myself leaning more toward the masculine side of things. That means I use masculine pronouns and descriptors for myself. It also means that I am medically transitioning so my body looks more masculine. For me, being trans is existing between a tension of two things. The first being a radical joy and hope that exists alongside finding and being yourself. There is so much trans joy in my life. From the evolution of my name and pronouns to my first testosterone shot and every shot since then, there is joy in my life. And it is a joy that was not there before I came out. Something that I always share when I talk about transitioning and coming out is that I never saw myself growing old until I came out and started medically transitioning. I could never picture myself as an old woman. It wasn't that I was always suicidal, but that was just not a vision that I could see. And then I came out and changed my name and began medically transitioning, and suddenly seeing myself grow old was not something that I could just see, but something that I wanted. I could never see myself as an old woman because there would never be an old woman. Instead, there would be someone who was going to look a lot more like an old man. And that was freedom. There is so much hope in my life now because I was able to come out and medically transition. I am just over 1 year into my medical transition, and this was the first year that I went without unnamed depression, without suicidal thoughts, and with starting to be genuinely happy with how my body looks. But it's not just the changes to my body that brings me joy and hope. My gender identity is deeply rooted in my faith. I find hope in this act of creation that I enter into with God. As I become more of myself, I discover more of God and my faith. I do not believe God put me in a wrong body. Instead, I believe God put me in a trans body as an invitation into both creation and God's self, to find the fluidity of both gender and faith. It is, unfortunately, not just joy and hope being trans. While I wish it was, there is still more to hold in tension. The second part of that tension is the grief and fear that exists alongside the world we live in that does not always make it safe or okay to be yourself. One of the clearest examples of this to me is bathrooms. Before entering any bathroom, especially when a gender-neutral one is not available, I go through a list of questions in my head. Which will be safest? How am I being perceived right now? Is there anyone in the restroom? Will those people be safe? Will I get in trouble for using that restroom? And these are just a few of the questions I have to ask before entering any restrooms. And I need you to recognize that I mean any restroom, male, female, gender nonconforming, and that includes here in this space. Because our society often puts cisgender feelings over transgender lives. And the bathroom is just one example of the hundreds of questions I ask myself every day to ensure my safety. And these are questions I ask as a white person. So this does not include when there are other marginalized identities included in the whole of identity and the questions that need to be asked. I am aware that there are people in this world who want myself and other trans people dead, and that is heavy to carry. Because my life is so full of joy, but some people will never see that. And so I ask myself all these questions to protect myself because parts of society are more focused on cisgender feelings than transgender lives. And I want you to know I do not let this fear rule my life, but I am very aware of the realities of how some communities view trans lives. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where that fear is validated, because I would much rather spend all of my time focusing on the joy and hope that I feel, because trans joy is so rich and full. But we live in a world where every year around November 20th, a list comes out of trans and gender nonconforming people who were killed. We live in a world where we have to face these realities and honor our dead, because they cannot be forgotten. We cannot forget the trans people who were killed, whose lives lost to violence were ended too soon. I imagine that many of my trans siblings whose lives were taken from them also finally saw themselves growing old when they came out. But their chance to grow old was ripped from them. Their chance to grow wrinkles and say, well, back in my day, was taken from them by other human beings, by hate crimes and state-sanctioned violence. Their lives were ended before they had a chance to grow old. And we grieve and mourn those lives. My biggest goal as a trans individual is to grow old. And I will continue to grieve any life that isn't given that chance. While writing this reflection, I was reminded of the story of Lazarus from the Gospel of John in the Bible, because that story of the raising of Lazarus has hope, but is mostly full of grief. For those unfamiliar with the story, or those of us who may just want a recap, Lazarus was a friend of Jesus. He and his sisters, Mary and Martha, supported Jesus' ministry. And one day, a messenger spoke to Jesus and let him know that Lazarus was ill. Jesus immediately left the town where he was to be with Lazarus and his family, saying that Lazarus would not die. When Jesus arrived, Martha informed him that Lazarus had died. From there, Martha tells Mary that Jesus is there, and together they all go to the tomb where Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And so, with this story in mind, I would like to tell you a rewritten version of the story of Lazarus. My sister whispered in my ear, "The teacher is here." I got up and ran to him, and when I got there, I fell against him, letting my tears dampen his shirt and letting out everything that I would normally hold back. You came. You finally came," I muttered, but steadily as I gained strength in my voice, as I grabbed his shirt in grief and banged on his chest. "But it's too late. Here you are, the only one who could save them, all of them, and you didn't get here in time, and I am angry. I've sat in grief because I couldn't do anything to save them, but you could have, and I am angry because you should have been there." And he held those words. As he wiped my tears, he patiently asked where the altar of trans ancestors, loved ones, companions, trans lives lost would be held. "Come and see." And we went, and as we approached, there stood an altar full of blue, pink, and white, and there were smiling photos, remnants of lives lost, and sadness filled the air, and that sadness was palpable. You could feel it in your bones. And there, where lives are honored, those who survived stood, and as we cried, I saw him trace his own scars across his chest and weep alongside us. And we allowed ourselves to let our grief be. We let that grief permeate through our bodies, to feel it. We allowed ourselves to know grief. And for today, that is where our story ends. It's not triumphant. It's not in celebration where we get these lives back. I wish the story would end like Lazarus, where they were raised from the dead, where Jesus rolling back the stone and calling each in turn by name, and they would come out and sit among us once more. But the story does not. Instead, it ends knowing that God grieves alongside us. Our story begins and ends in grief, and yet in our grief, we see a glimmer of hope. It may not be strong. That glimmer may not always even be visible through our grief, but that glimmer exists. That glimmer that something bigger than ourselves sits among us as we cry for lives lost. That something holds our anger and our sadness, and it is through this glimmer that we go forward, never forgetting all those who went before us, and never forgetting all of the 26 lives and more lost to violence. We push forward, sometimes slowly, sometimes barely even moving. Yet forward we go into the unknown, praying, hoping, dreaming of a world where we continue to remember. In a world where as we move forward and remember that tension between hope and fear, we continue to do the work, and that tension eases, and we are left with hope. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 1023 in the Teal Hymnal.
Hello? Hi. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Before we sing, I want you guys to move a little bit with me. So actually, can you move to the other side? Thank you. Starting with your left, and I'm going to my right. So we're going to do this. Yes, and don't stop. Do this the whole time. This. And let's sing through the whole hymn once. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Great. Okay, now please raise your hand if you are way too old. There's not such a thing. We don't need to sing like, building. We can go a little faster, right? So let's try a little faster. Ready, go. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, and you could make such sweet harmony. Great, now we know everything. This is number 1. This is number 2. So Jane is going to be singing with number 1. Bibi is going to be singing with number 2. And I will be telling people what to do because that's what I like to do. So then, let's be a little bit creative, and we are going to sing in different moments, but together. Okay? So we're starting with number 1 only. Ready, go. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, voices in all of our visions. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Okay, amazing. Now we can make it a little more complicated. Attention to the line and my hands, because I will show which group is singing. I can change that in the middle of the phrase. So, attention. Okay, let's start with number 2. First, ready, go. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and Woo. Okay, let's go one more time. Let's try again. We're still doing just one line going through the whole thing. But we are stopping one, and the other one will keep going on the same line. We are not restarting.
Like
okay? Yes. And then we are going to mix up everything. But for now, we still have one timeline going on. Okay? Let's try one more time. Number 2. Ready, go. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and things can make such sweet harmony. You see how this works? We can sing together, we can sing one after the other, and we can sing at the same time with different things. So now let's divide in 3 groups. I need one more person with another microphone. Who is a volunteer? Okay, so let's do this. The back of this side is going to be number 3. Okay? Yeah, sure. Number 3 is the back of this side. Number 2, the whole side here. Number 1, the front. Who is in the middle? You choose if you want to be 1 or 3. Okay? Okay, now let's try. Number 1 first. Ready, go. Building bridges between our divisions. 3. Reach out to you, and you reach out to me. 2. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Let's try one more time. Jane, look at me. Look at me. It's still one time line for everybody. Number 1 first. Ready, go. Building bridges between. Number 2. Reach out to you, and you reach out to 3. And all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet. 2 and 3. Building bridges. Keep going between our Number 1. Reach out to you, and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet. Everybody? Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. And again, everybody should be in the choir. You sound great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. I was just kind of imagining in my heart that glimmer of hope sort of growing with the song. I'll hold on to that. Thank you so much for the message today. Each week we gather to align our giving with our values. We support missions and ministries of our congregation and also share half of our weekly offering with an organization whose values align with ours. This week we're donating to the Water Protectors of Standing Rock. All month long we're giving to support Indigenous organizations as a movement toward reparations. I want to thank you today for your generosity and invite you to take this moment to give your gift. The morning offering may now be given, and it is most gratefully received. Can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen. I lost all hope today. My car broke down. I'm empty. So I went to a friendly bar. There was a show. It was different. Lost and confused, I had to smile from within. When I realized these women were men. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Hey, amen. Your beard grew back again. Girl, that's okay. Just keep shaving. All your dreams in front of you. Just don't sashay. No misbehaving. Don't let the weight of the world flatten your wave. Just tease it out, turn Adam to Eve. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Hey, amen. When life pulls you down, put on a shiny sequin gown. If you can get a gig, go buy yourself a lace front wig. Just tuck your junk and hit that runway. It will get better someday. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Sing with me. Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else?
offer this prayer to you by saint and poet Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward excellence, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by you, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, let us all awake. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you.
We will be singing. You will be found. We have sung this once. If you know the tune, if you know the song, feel free to sing with us. If you are in a hurry to go get a coffee, feel free to get up and go get your coffee after referencing these verses. Thank you. Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall, and no one would hear? You can reach out